Jeremy Konyndyk is the former Director of Foreign Disaster Assistance at USAID. He joins me now from Washington. Jeremy, obviously you're familiar with it on a grand scale because obviously the USAID helps in many situations. But these territories, the French in St. Martin, the British with Anguilla and the Turks and Caicos, the US with Puerto Rico as a territory, these are to some extent geopolitical oddities, aren't they? Where a foreign country or other countries, countries far away, have responsibility for these small islands.
Well, the positive aspect of that is that there is someone then who's clearly in the lead. So you have each of the respective wealthy countries can bring a lot of resources to bear and has clear responsibility for leading on the assistance. And so militaries from all of these countries have been deploying to the region. The U.S. has been deploying naval ships to help with Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. We just had video of the RAF deploying some of the British territories. So it actually, in some ways, helps organize and cohere the response.
I was about to say, I mean, whatever one might think of the political structures that made this possible, it does ensure that there are wealthy countries that can bring those resources in.
Absolutely.
Compared to some of those Caribbean islands that will be seriously needing foreign overseas aid.
That's right, and for the for the islands that are not connected with or part of a territory of a Western power, there will be assistance coming in as well. USAID, the office that I used to lead, has launched a disaster assistance response team, has placed personnel on numerous of these islands across the Caribbean, and they are now, as the storm passes through, they're gearing up to provide assistance, assess damage, call in whatever's needed. I think it's ironic to say this in a way, but this storm has been much of the region's been pretty lucky with the track of this storm. It hasn't made landfall on some of the larger islands, and the places where it's made landfall have generally been some of the smaller ones. We'll see where it goes now with Cuba, but so far it's really threaded the needle of some of the larger islands and some of the larger population centers in the region. So the damage has not been the sort of worst case that we were fearing it might be a few days ago. And
as you look at, I mean, like USAID, you have enormous experience of dealing with these things. I guess, Jeremy, you can sort of repair the roof of the house. You can put sort of the building back together. But how do you repair the lives that have been completely uprooted as a result? Is that possible?
It's possible, but it's not quick. The relief effort that we will see over the next few weeks and the next month or so in these islands, and similar in the U.S. as well, actually, will focus on getting people stabilized, people who have been displaced from their homes, ensuring that they have some reliable shelter that they can turn to, that they have some of their basic needs covered. And that's good. That keeps them alive. It keeps them healthy in the immediate aftermath when they're very, very vulnerable. But as you say, the tougher thing is what do you do with this long-term rebuilding? And unfortunately, that's an area where we tend not to see the level of funding come through internationally that we would see domestically. So in the U.S., Congress just passed a major aid package for post-Harvey recovery. I anticipate they'll do something similar now for Irma once we see what the damage from that is in Florida and beyond. On the international side, you see a lot of upfront resources for the response, far less for the recovery traditionally.
Jeremy, thank you for joining us, giving us the perspective on that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure.